Welcome to the CCEF Blogcast, where CCEF authors read their own blogs. Today, Todd Stryd is reading his blog titled, I Am Not Okay, in which he contrasts God's voice with the voice of self-hatred.
I am not okay. I'm not okay. It's the first thing the voice of self-hatred says. While it takes 100 different forms, it always says the same thing. You are lacking. It says, I'm a failure. I'm way too messed up. I'm a disappointment to everyone. I'm worthless. I'm gross. I'm weak and pathetic. Many of us are familiar with the voice of self-hatred. It shows up amid the small talk and the self-talk of our daily life. We're familiar with it because it comes from within, and it inevitably comes out. Self-hate strategy is subtle and calculated. It takes advantage of one of the most fundamental things about us, that we are social creatures. Relationships are our life context. People are our environment. We live before the eyes of others, and they live before ours. We take our cues from them, and they from us. We evaluate and are evaluated. We size up and are sized up. We compare, and we are compared. Within our desperate strivings to be okay, acceptable, adequate, legitimate, worthwhile, and satisfactory, self-hate spins a seductive lie. Our thoughts about others and their thoughts about us are the ones that really count. We are tempted to believe this and live out of it. Thankfully, this is not the true arrangement of things. We do not live in a world where our evaluation of ourselves and others is ultimate. God is there. God, too, is our environment. And we also live before His eyes. We live before the maker and sustainer of all things. We live before the one who has absolute authority. He too evaluates and sizes up. He declares and announces reality. Liberation from the clutches of self-hate and the endless strivings to be okay is available only in our relationship to God through Christ. Liberation begins by giving ear to what the loving voice of God says about us. We don't have to guess how He thinks or feels. In the Scriptures, He tells us clearly, authoritatively, repeatedly, lovingly. He's not fickle or flippant or shifty. He does not change like the shifting of a shadow, nor does He show partiality or favoritism. Just as self-hate zeroes in on our identity, so too the loving voice of God has something to say about who we are. Whereas the voice of self-hate proclaims, I am a piece of garbage. I'm disgusting and unwanted. The voice of God announces something very different. Psalm 18, verse 19 says, I want you. You belong to me. Deuteronomy 7, He tells us, I love you, and my love does not have strings attached. Psalm 8, He lets us know that I cherish you. John 3:16, I will do what is needed to save you. And 1 John 3, verse 1, and Isaiah 43, verse 1, I have given you a true and lasting name. In no uncertain terms, the voice of God tells us that we are perpetually and substantially okay. This does not mean that our failures and our sins and our limitations and struggles are not real or insignificant, but rather, despite the presence of all these things in our lives, our okayness does not change. Our spiritual status is not up for debate. It's permanently established through Christ. The voice of God proclaims an alternative to the identity that self-hate argues for. Because you cling to Christ, you can repeat what God the Father says about you. Because you cling to Christ, you can own what God the Father thinks about you. I am okay.
Thank you for listening to the CCEF blogcast. At CCEF, we're always creating new articles, videos, and podcasts that are free to access. If you're interested in exploring our latest content, you can find it at ccef.org. Today's fun fact is about David Powson. Did you know that David grew up on the beautiful island of Oahu? This is why David had a particular affection for Hawaiian shirts, and why CCF staff still wear them in honor of him.